You can't go outside. You must do your homework. Sophie and Leah couldn't go to Anna's party yesterday. They weren't able to do that because they had to do their homework. They will be allowed to visit their friend tomorrow. What's the video about? Modal auxiliaries, their substitute forms, and wouldn't have done, shouldn't have done, couldn't have done, and so on. If you're interested in this topic, stay tuned. Welcome in the Grammarbox to this new video about modal auxiliaries, their substitute forms, and the constructions could have done, should have done, and so on. First of all, let's talk about the usage. Modal auxiliary verbs can, must, would, should, may, might, for example, can only be used in the simple present. Substitute forms are necessary for all other tenses. Exception, you can also use could and can in the simple past tense. That was quite fast. Let's slow down. First of all, let's talk about can and could and the substitute form be able to. With can, could, and the substitute form be able to, you say what you can do when you are talking about an ability. Let's look at some examples in the simple present tense, simple past tense, and the will future. Sarina can or is able to sing very well. They can't or aren't able to speak Chinese. In the simple past, Nicole could or was able to dance nicely. The girls couldn't or weren't able to play cards. And in the will future, Vanessa will be able to draw great pictures. They won't be able to run a marathon. This was the usage with can, could, or be able to. Now there is another usage when we don't talk about an ability, but about permission. And then we don't use be able to, but be allowed to. With can, could, and the substitute form be allowed to, you say what you can do when you're talking about a permission. And here are the examples in the three tenses. Lena can or is allowed to visit Joanna. I can't, I am not allowed to stay up late. In the simple past, Tim could or Tim was allowed to spend time with Paula. The girls couldn't or weren't allowed to go there. Will future, Linda will be allowed to go to Nico's party. We won't be allowed to watch the movie. So much about can, could, be able to, when we talk about an ability, or be allowed to, when we talk about permission. What about must? There, the substitute form is have to. Here we go. With must and the replacement form have to, you say what you have to do. Surprise, surprise. Then we are talking about an obligation. You must watch this video. In the simple present, Eva must or has to tidy up her room. He doesn't have to buy it. Simple past. Mark had to ask Magdalena for a date. They didn't have to eat it. Will future. Lily will have to help her mother. You won't have to talk to them. Watch out. We German speakers are likely to mix up must im Sinne von müssen and mustn't im Sinne von nicht dürfen. Nina must ask her friend. Sie muss ihre Freundin fragen. Tonya mustn't talk to him. Sie darf ihn nicht sprechen. There's a difference in meaning between must and mustn't. Let's go on. What about should, shouldn't, or needn't? Don't mix up mustn't and needn't. Mustn't, nicht dürfen, needn't, nicht brauchen. You express a recommendation with should or shouldn't. If something is not necessary, use needn't. Examples. You should really read that book. Hannah shouldn't ask Daniel for a date. Madeleine needn't pay for the dinner. Sie braucht das Essen nicht zu bezahlen. Perhaps her boyfriend is paying for her. Now, something new, perhaps. The construction should have done, could have done, might have done, would have done, and so on. If you want to say what could or should have happened and might have happened, must have happened, and so on, then use the construction could have, should have, would have, might have, must have, plus the third form of the verb. You know, it's the past participle. You already know this construction from the third conditional clause, if clause type 3. This is the conditional clause when we talk conditions about the past. You should have asked Anna. Du hättest Anna fragen sollen. Sophie could have been injured. Sie hätte verletzt werden können. Lea must have given it to Anna. Lea muss es Anna gegeben haben. I wouldn't have told it Simon. Ich hätte es Simon nicht erzählt. Summary. This video was about modal auxiliaries. You know, there is can in the simple present, there is could in the simple past, but for all other tenses you need substitute forms or replacement forms. If you're talking about an ability, you can use be able to, and the verb be can be set into every tense you could imagine. Be, was, were, have been, and so on will be. So there is can, could, plus be able to when we talk about an ability. If we talk about permission, we can use can, could in the simple past, and be allowed to in every tense. When we talk about an obligation, we can use must or the substitute form have to. I had to go, I will have to go, and so on. And if you want to say what could have happened, should have happened, would have happened, must have happened, you can use this construction, and it's always with the third form of the verb, the past participle. Das war's. Wenn du denkst, das Video war hilfreich, lass gerne den Daumen hoch da, vergiss nicht die Glocke, wenn du nichts mehr verpassen möchtest. Am meisten freue ich mich über ein Abo des Kanals. Informationen zu den Materialien findest du natürlich unten in der Videobeschreibung. Auch wenn du mehr üben möchtest, gibt's das English Grammar Workbook. Das Video dazu findest du oben angepinnt. Übungen natürlich auf www.grammarbox.de, noch mehr Übungen bei Iduki. In diesem Sinne, danke fürs Zusehen, bis zum nächsten Mal und ciao for now.